Good morning. Hello. I don't know what time whoever's watching this is watching this. It's morning over here. It is 8:45 a.m. I'm taking a walk. As you can see, it's hot. Oh, it is hot. It is officially summertime. But I was like, I can record while I take this walk. And what do I want to talk about today? I want to talk about the desire to feel special. I have notes on my phone, but we'll see how much I go back to reference it. Initially, I wanted this to be a something that I write, and I can still write about it. I tend to explain myself better when I write than when I just speak. But I was like, let me try. Okay, so where did this whole desire to be special thing come for me? So I'm like reading my notes on my phone. If I do it like this. Oh, sorry. Okay. So this desire kind of pops up from time to time for me. Like I just want to be special. And I know that's like not necessarily a bad desire to have, and I'll explain like exactly what I mean as we continue. But in terms of like not just special, but like I want to feel like I am different from everyone else around me, right? I think there's a desire to be special that's like I want to feel like someone chooses me, and I want to feel like like someone is committed to me and they see me differently than they see other people. That's not the type of special I'm talking about. I'm talking about the desire to think and feel like I am better than everyone else around me in one way or another. This comes up a lot, especially because I'm a very heady person and I'm very philosophically inclined. It's very easy to feel like puffed up and get a big head about myself because of the way that I think and approach life. But you know what the great thing about being very heady is? It's also actually very easy to become depressed as well. So it balances itself out. But I noticed that I have this desire, and then also on top of that, being a Christian that has been brought up in charismatic streams, there's also this desire to be special in general when it comes to spiritual gifts and wanting things that appear special on the outside, whether that's prophecy or words of knowledge or being able to heal. Excuse me. Also things like being able to preach really, really well and teach, or being evangelistic, just like the different gifts that people talk about and really tend to emphasize when it comes to this particular stream of Christianity. And I just tend to think, sorry, I keep going back to my notes, but I don't need to because I know what I'm saying. Okay. I just tend to think a lot about, I'm going to walk backwards so the sun can be in my face. Hopefully I don't trip on anything. Whenever that desire comes up, I start to think about when Paul was talking to the Corinthians in the first letter that we have available to us in the New Testament canon. And how he's telling them that, okay, all you guys like have all these wonderful gifts and like that's amazing, but it seems like you're missing something, which is love. And that's what he spends the 13th part of that letter talking to them about, explaining. And I really appreciate like the beginning and the end of it. Typically when it comes to 1 Corinthians 13, people just tend to focus on verses 4 to 8, the middle part, which is explaining the attributes of love. But I don't think people always realize what the larger context of that chapter is. And I think about it all the time, because this desire to be special is something that comes up all the time for me, and I'm like constantly having to remind myself of this. But he starts it off by explaining that if you have all of these gifts, if you can speak in tongues, if you have this faith, if you give everything away, if you live this very like austere life, but you don't have love, you're not doing anything. Like, you're just making noise, you're just putting on a show, if you're not also being loving with it. And if the things that you're doing is not leading you to love people, then he explains the attributes of love. And then by the end of it, he is like explaining that actually all of these things that you guys put all of your self-worth in are going to pass away. Like, when we get to the other side of eternity, the things that are still going to be here are faith, hope, and love, and the greatest of them being love. And that actually maturity as a Christian, maturity as not just as a Christian, but when we as human beings mature, as in when the new age comes, what will be left over is these things: faith, hope, and love. And there will be no prophecy, there will be no tongues, there will be no miracles and stuff like that. And basically, like, if you're going to focus on anything, and if you're going to put your worth and your identity and your efforts toward anything, put it towards being loving. And when I think about that, I'm like, that was like something that was a really big focus of my life. That has been, and it still is. I've just been struggling recently, but is becoming a more and more loving person, and understanding God's love more, and trying to exhibit his love to other people and experience it for myself, and just literally finding it wherever I can. So it's become a really big focus of my life. And because I've done it and I've focused on it, I'm also aware that, like, literally anybody can work towards becoming more loving. Whereas sorry, the car just went by and they were looking at me. I don't know why, but whereas in like charismatic streams, there's this understanding of your spiritual gifts, in terms of like, spiritual gifts are, not everybody gets every spiritual gift. And even, I think Paul even talks about it in like this portion of Corinthians, because excuse me, they was acting crazy. Basically, like, different people have different abilities, right? So not everybody's going to get everything, and that's perfectly fine. But love is one of those things that everybody can get, and that everybody has access to, and that everybody can work on and practice. But I think the interesting thing is, I don't think most people do practice it. And I think that's the important thing, is like, this is a gift that's actually available to everyone, but not everybody practices it. And okay, now I gotta remember my train of thought. Because not everyone practices it, one, that is a way that you can desire to be special if you so choose to. But I think it's also realizing that because love is the most important and powerful gift that we do have, imagining what life would be like if everyone was practicing it, instead of focusing on how can I be different, how can I be special, this is what it was. Because I had this desire to like have some of these gifts, like, discernment, prophecy, words of knowledge, and things like that. And then eventually I realized one of the things that I really focus on, that I don't know if other people focus on as much, is this desire to be more loving and more like Jesus, and more like God in my relationships with other people. And sometimes I don't know if you can genuinely be loving and also be like, I want to be special and different from everybody else. I don't think that's possible. But sometimes I did get this desire to be like, I'm doing it, so it makes me different, it makes me special. But it's like, do you want to live in a community and in a society and in a world where you are the only one that's being loving? Like, do you want that to be the thing that makes you special? No, you should rather want to live in a world where love is common, love is the standard, like everybody is loving. You'd want to live in a world where everyone around you is being loving. Everywhere you go, you're experiencing love. Like, it's not this unique thing. And then I think about the movie Encanto when I think about this, because good morning. I think about the movie Encanto when I think about this, because There's a lady, she's walking her dog. She's looking at me suspiciously because I turned around. Mirabel is the only one in her family who didn't have a superpower. Or I guess, no, the only one, because it was her mom and then her aunts and uncles and then her siblings and her cousins. They all had powers, but she was the only one that didn't have a power. But her superpower was being caring and being like loving and trying to keep the family together and doing things for other people. And no one else in her family had it, or had it to the degree that she had it. And obviously, like, she wanted to feel special and feel like she had this thing that nobody else had, the same way that, you know, the rest of the people in her family did. But wouldn't it be better if, like, everybody in the family had the ability to love, rather than just like everyone has these unique talents? And it's not like a one-to-one analogy, primarily because like the family was using their talents to help the town and to help the city. But I think that's like the closest like fleshed out imagery that I can think of for this concept. Is, wow, it is really dark. Is it better if I go this way? Yes, it is. Okay, I'm just gonna keep walking backwards until I get home, which is not that far. Yeah, that's the closest like one-to-one or fleshed out I can think of when it comes to this concept, is that movie. And okay, let me see if I have anything else in my notes. Oh, okay. One of the things I have here is, I'd rather have no unique abilities and be surrounded by love than be the only one with like a certain type of ability, let's say being like really discerning or really perceptive, and not have love around me. And yeah, so it's like when I'm like, and then I think it makes me think about like, why is it that I want to be special? Which genuinely, like, I need to be asking myself, like, why do you feel the need to be, I can't walk backwards anymore, but why do you feel the need to be special? Why do you feel the need to be the one who has this specific ability that other people don't have? Rather than finding yourself wrapped up in a community, or trying to find yourself wrapped up in a community that all has this wonderful, amazing ability called love. Yeah, I just think about that. And so I work every day to not want to be special and to focus on love, which is a gift, a talent, an ability that everyone has access to, and focusing on that and trying to get others to realize like this is something that they have within them, instead of trying to find the thing that makes me separate or different from everyone else around me. Obviously, like, bro, every person is unique. Every person has something that makes them different from those they are around. So that's inevitably going to come up. But if I'm really trying to focus on being loving, I wouldn't focus on that. Why would I want to focus on the thing that makes me different from other people, instead of focusing on the thing that can bind us all together, which is love? And this is the last thing I have to say. I'm basically home, but it also makes me think about like when you look at zoom outs of space. So you go from like Earth, you go from like where you are, then you go to the Earth, then you go to the solar system, then you go to our galaxy, and you just keep like zooming out, and you realize how unimaginably, unfathomably, indescribably, ineffably large our universe is, and how small we are in comparison to it. And growing up, a lot of times when I heard people talk about that, they talk about it in the sense of, and I think specifically like atheists, people that don't believe in God, they talk about it in the sense of, oh, like human beings are insignificant, we're worthless, we're not special because the universe is so large and we are so small. It makes me think about it like in a very similar way as this concept of like wanting to be special, because it's like why do we need to feel like, first of all, that's simply not true. Like, yes, we are small. We are in no way insignificant. Like, the things that we are able to do on Earth, the things that we have been able to do, not insignificant at all. The fact that we're even able to discover that the universe is this large is not insignificant. But I understand the sentiments. Like, when you realize, like, you are much smaller than you originally thought you were, it creates a sort of like existential crisis. But what if instead of thinking like that, we think of it like, wow, I'm caught up in this grand narrative. I'm caught up in this wonderful story. I'm a part of this thing that is so complex but so vast at the same time. I'm gonna get in the light. I don't know where to stand. Okay, this is better. I'm part of this thing. But then the sounds. Let me come over here. Sorry, guys. I'm part of this thing that is so grand and complex, and I get to be a part of it. And even if I'm not like necessarily special or unique, I'm still part of it, and that's important. That's a thing that makes it feel less existential when you realize it. Actually makes you more grateful just for being able to get to experience something like this, something so wonderful and grand and vast. And I think that kind of like, yeah, wraps up like this whole thought about wanting to be special. It's like, instead of wanting to be an individual who is unique and separate in some way, why not try and see yourself within the context of a grander story and as part of a collective. A part is still individual, but it also finds its identity within the larger collective. So yeah, that's all I had to say. I am back home now. I'm gonna go inside and shower because it's hot, but thanks for stopping by.